Friends, I want to give you an update about what is going on in Ukraine right now. Of course, there's been a lot that's happened in the past few days, and the most significant was what happened in Odessa on Friday. Personally, I woke up, checked the news, and when you watch the news or you read the news and it's in these areas that seem far away, Africa, Middle East, it often doesn't really affect you. But I check the news, and you know what? These are the streets I know. It's the places that we walk with our children. This is our city, and here I see this violence, and it really it takes on much more of a meaning, and you realize how significant some of these things are. And actually what happened in Odessa on Friday was very significant for the conflict in Ukraine in a very negative way, I think, and I want to share with you why I think that here in a minute. But let me just kind of explain for you the situation. Basically, you had a group, a pro-Ukrainian group. There was supposed to be a soccer game that evening. These were soccer fans that had come, and they wanted to do a pro-Ukraine march before the soccer game. And so they were gathering in downtown Odessa for this pro-Ukraine march when a number of pro-Russian activists basically started attacking them. And they attacked them first just with bats and chains and things like that. And then, of course, the Ukrainian pro-Ukrainians, they reacted and began to defend themselves and begin to fight back. And that's when you saw a lot of the scenes on TV of the throwing the rocks and stones and things like that. But the terrible part of it was that with some of the pro-Russians, they had actual firearms. And so they began to shoot on some of the protesters, and as a result, I think 4 people were killed of the pro-Ukrainians. And then after those groups separated, the pro-Ukrainians wanted to go to the headquarters where these Russians were hanging out and fight them, basically. So and kind of kick them out of town. So they went, and that is a large building there right next to the train station there in downtown Odessa. I've been by there many times. And they burned their tents and began throwing rocks again at each other. Both sides were throwing Molotov cocktails at each other. And somehow, I think the fire started on the first floor, but the fire that really killed a lot of people was on the 3rd floor. Now, from what I've read, there's some disputes about how it started, whether it was the pro-Ukrainian side or the pro-Russian side that started it. And there's also some disputes about how these people really died. A number of people are saying that, in fact, the Ukrainian government, I believe now, is even saying that they were actually gassed before, many of them were gassed before they died in the fire. But either way, it ended up with 46 people dead in Odessa this past Friday. Most of those people were pro-Russian activists, and that's probably the worst way it could have ended, because this has just given more fuel to the information war, and it has widened the gap between these two groups. And especially in eastern Ukraine now, they're calling them Nazis, they're calling them fascists. They're worried that they're going to come, they're going to burn their families, their people. And really, it is in eastern Ukraine, in a number of areas, it is already a full-out war. And as a result of what happened in Odessa, I know that in fact there's a group in Donetsk that meets every day for public prayer for Ukraine. And as a result of what happened in Odessa, there have been people that come in and have actually beat some of them. They have a prayer tent set up, came into the prayer tent a few days ago, beat some people up, and then just a day or two ago, some people came by while they were praying, ripped the flag out of their hands, pushed over the cross, headbutted the pastor that was praying. It's pretty serious stuff. And so I think really what it goes back to is something that I actually wrote about back in February, when the former president had just fled, and many people were rejoicing and just so, you know, looking at this as a great victory, and I said, well, you know, this is not victory yet. There is a long way for Ukraine to go, because there's still a lot of resentment, there's still a lot of anger amongst these two groups. And what I said is that there needs to be forgiveness and there needs to be reconciliation. And that is still true. And unfortunately, the media has taken some of these things and just used it to cause people to become more angry, to cause people to want more revenge, and to cause more resentment. And, you know, I think that as a church, our job ought to be to show that the best way to find reconciliation and forgiveness, really the only way to find it ultimately, is in Jesus. And so I would ask that you would pray for Ukraine today. Pray that there would be reconciliation, forgiveness between these pro-Russian and pro-Ukrainian groups, because, you know, ultimately, even if Ukraine wins the war with its army, with its military, if in the hearts of people reconciliation and forgiveness doesn't happen, it will continue on in the hearts of the people, and I think that there will continue to be violence as well. So please pray for reconciliation and peace in Ukraine. Unfortunately, what happened in Odessa only goes to further the anger and resentment that is just growing daily in Ukraine. And pray for churches that they would be able to proclaim Jesus as really the ultimate way to find reconciliation and forgiveness. And, you know, it's true, what these people need is they need reconciliation with God. They need forgiveness with God. And, you know, a person that has forgiveness with God, he's going to find it a lot easier to forgive those who have wronged him or who he feels have wronged them. So please pray for Ukraine, and we'll keep you updated about what is going on there. Just follow us, sukofamily.org, and keep those prayers coming. All right, thanks. Blessings.